Alright, here we are, second try at doing this Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb, which is the first book in the Dragon Scale duology. And if we look into this book, there's a bit of a quirk with it. Also, there is a map, and we appreciate when there are maps. But what the big quirk is, that it calls it a trilogy. Let's see if we can zoom in so it's easier to see. There you go. So the reason why was because L.R. Lamb at the time of writing this book did not know if it was going to be a trilogy or a duology, but it is a duology. Now, looking at the story graph for this book here, it stands at a respectable 3.65 out of 5 stars, based on almost 3,000 reviews. So that's pretty good when you think about it. Overall, the three most common moods are adventurous, mysterious, and emotional. So, were followed by tense and dark. And I feel like those 5 are really, like the top 5 there, are really showing off this book well. People have said the pace is medium. At least 65% said that, and then the last 26% said slow, and 8% said fast. I can buy the medium, I cannot buy the slow paced. I don't think this book is slow paced at all. Is the plot or character driven? Here 67% have said a mixed, and it's roughly even split between plot and character at the edges. So I'll buy that. That sounds about right for me. I agree. Then we have strong character development. 65 said yes, 21 said complicated. I say yes, it is absolutely. Like, that is a big focus of the book, is some character development. Do we have a diverse cast of characters? 87, almost 90% have said yes. And I agree. They are kind of very diverse. And the final question we're going to look through before talking about the cover itself is flaws of the character as a main focus. 61 said yes. 22 said complicated. 14 said no. I think it's a yes. I think very much the flaws of specifically Arcady is a huge focus. Because a lot of the book is spent learning to trust someone. Now, let's talk about the cover here. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love the red dragon and the way it's presented for us here, like an arrow pointing down. It is absolutely beautifully drawn. If we look at it, it is a feathered dragon, because that's how dragons are described in this world. This is exactly how I imagined the dragon described. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. And I love the golden detailing around, the golden letters for Dragonfall and the golden moon in the background. I think that is perfect. And then these here, for me, that these funny little swirly details make me think of it being like the dragon has shattered through the universe and are falling into our world, because that's basically what happened in the book. And I think that is beautifully rendered. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous cover. And then if we just do this, we can just see the little stars in it are showing off a little, and that's perfect. And on the spine of it, it's very simple, but I like the little feather detail here. It's very cute, and it just makes the spine look a little more interesting. And the backside is exactly how we expect it to, and it's perfectly serviceable. Now that we talked about the outside of the book, let's talk about what's inside of it. It is, to me, weirdly intriguing starting a book with an epigraph. Also, I had no idea what an epigraph was, so I had to look up what that was. So thank you, L.R. Lamb, for teaching me a new word I almost certainly will forget. But an epigraph is what's written on a tombstone. The "Here lies" thing. It's right. Here lies first band, and so on. So that's how the book starts. It's even before, which is kind of funny, before the map. The book follows mainly 2 characters, Everem, the dragon, and Arcady, the human. I don't think I've ever read a book where a dragon was the main character. I read where they've been important, but not like main character. Like in Fourth Wing we have the important dragons, Aragon we have the important dragons, but we don't really have them as main characters in the same way. And the book is also weirdly written. the Everem sections are written in first person past tense, directed at the reader. So there's a lot of like you, like I saw you. While when we read Arcadie's part, it is more of a classical first person past tense, not mentioning the readers, more like I went, I did, and so on. More like telling us, but not acknowledging us. So we have Everem who breaks the fourth wall in a way, and we have Arcadie who doesn't. And Everem's section is more like he's not addressing us, the reader, he is addressing Arcadie. At least that's how it feels. And I really like that, like this, because I like when authors experiment with things. And Lamb is definitely experimenting with her prose, and it works, and it's funny, and it's different. It's definitely in the start a little, not jarring, but a little difficult to get into and get used to. But once you got really going with the book, you didn't really think about it. It just felt natural, and that's what you want. You don't want your book to, like your reader to think about all the details all the time. I really like that Lamb has recognized that we can get all the exposition that we want from Everem, and therefore we don't really need any for Arcadie. And we see that because in one of the cases, Everem is talking to a prostitute, or siren as they're called in this book, and it's honestly one of my favorite chapters in the book. It's my favorite of this section. We get a lot of neat exposition in a natural way. It helped putting a lot of earlier scenes into a new light. We get explained why people were acting weird towards him, like what were he doing that they, or what was he not doing that they were doing. And that really felt like a natural way of explaining the world, instead of him asking all the time random people, and then people stopping up and be like, all right, I'm going to spend some time. Yeah. What I don't quite get is why sign language is so popular in the world. I mean, the argument would probably be something like deaf people and dialects wouldn't stop you from learning the other person's pronouns. And you can do it just while giving your name. I can just say, I am a he, him. Like, that's easy. So it's really weird that way. It kind of reach as a Twitter, where it's like I say my name, and then underneath it's like he, him, or they, them, or whatever. And I don't have an issue with having representation. I have an issue with how it was done. It was clunky, in my opinion. And talking of representation, I also don't get why every time an author has a country where gender is fluent, they need to say that another neighboring country is conservative and think gender is binary. While world building is important, in this book this adds nothing other than letting me know the author really is not a fan of viewing genders that way and wanted to say that. And I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying if you aren't planning on using it, don't add it. If you want to have a hard, show that this country here really cares about not being binary, you could have a scene in the tavern before going up with the siren, where two guys who are drunk get into a heated debate or discussion or whatever, fight about gender, because he refuses to use they, them, or whatever. And then it ends with everyone throwing out the guy who's only doing binary, so that the entire tavern just shows, no, we care that you have other pronouns, and that's what matters to us. You can do that, and that would have worked way better than just saying the country. And then you could have mentioned, oh, we usually accept these bigoted people here because they're from a country that doesn't think like us, but when they're here, they have to be nice or whatever. And then you could still have the same amount of world building, but it would be a little less clunky, in my opinion. Now, back to the story. The weird metal things they get in their bodies confuse me to no ends. I honestly do not understand their purpose. How do they work? Why are they chosen if they're special? Am I missing something here? I get that they are used to channel their magic through, but can they just choose any design, or what is it? Do they have to be inserted in the chest? What's going on here? Now, Everem and Arcadie meeting was super fun. Combat isn't Lamb's biggest strength, but it was serviceable, so she got that going for her. The character interplay was fun, and that's my main requirement. All in all, this first section's pretty good. The story's interesting, the characters are interesting, except for one, but we'll get to her. I like this book. Is it the best in the world? No, it's not. Is it a 5 of 5? Nope. But it's pretty good. I agree so far with almost like 4 out of 5 book. I think that is reasonable for this so far. Let's get to the next section. I by accident mashed these 2 sections up into one. I hope that's fine. Oh, it's kind of too late now, but okay. So the test Arcady set upon Everum was pretty good. They knew what was going to happen, and they used what made it more fun was seeing Arcady fail, though. Failing their own challenge to prove how good they are at stealing. It created some fun interplay with some smugness from Everum and some annoyance from Arcady. That was really nice. I talked about a boring character earlier, and we're gonna talk about her now. Soren was someone who I didn't talk about before because her part is so boring. I struggled through her first chapter in section 2, and I straight up forgot about her until section 2. Like, I forgot she had a chapter in chapter 1. The premise for her part being a mystery is pretty interesting. I think she's just boring, but hopefully changes as she gets out on her mission. So I think the idea of her and Magnus trying to solve what is going on is really interesting, and I want that. Now, the time-lapse part, or whatever you want to call it, where Everum learns to lockpick, steal, learns about how humans uses magic, and reads book about the world, it was fine. Lamb goes a decent amount of in-depth with the different things, just enough so we can understand that Arcady really knows what she's talking about, but not so much that it feels like Lamb is trying to teach us how to do the things. And this leads into the breaking and entering of the shop of Calvin, I think it's called. The shopkeeper Arcady knows, and this is just to surprise her old companions from the Mareks. And it's fine. It was decent, interesting. It was fine seeing, a meeting like that from a outside perspective. Because we followed Everum as we saw the 4 other people talking. That was pretty fun. What I don't like is Larkin. And it's because I think she's annoying and dumb, really. I get that she's supposed to be threatening and extrude cockiness, but it just comes off as clumsy, which just makes her annoying. So, now quickly moving on to the actual heist. The part where... that was so infuriatingly short. Lamb really had something good going, and I could see like an Ocean's 11 or James Bond-esque scene where they move from place to place, trying to swindle more and more money without getting caught. Have Larkin and... I think it was called? Stop interlopers from confronting Arcadia so she can disappear in the group, and have Everum work as muscle and just always be there while he communicates to her what other people have in their hand and stuff. That could be so fun. Instead, they played one table, that's it. And it's a shame, and it's a waste of potential. And we then get another Soren chapter. And this one is decently interesting. It isn't as good as the main story, but it gets the job done. The captain was really cool. We see Soren then struggling with her inner emotions, and that's fine. We get more Soren as the book moves along, but I don't think her story is that interesting, because we don't get to see from Magnus' point of view, and it also seems like he knows everything for no reason, and we don't get described what's going on at all. Like, who is this captain? He's part of some group. What group is that? We don't learn anything. And it's really frustrating. Let's go to the auction. That's like the highlight of these 2 sections. I really enjoyed it. Again, Lamb had something great going, but cut it too short. I know you shouldn't linger too much, or else it can turn bad. But I also feel like she wasn't staying for the pleasantries. Like, she just went, hello, bye. And it's really annoying, given she's really a good author, and I think she could have written... Just add, like, 20 pages more to the book. It wouldn't have been too much, but 20 more pages for the heist and for the auction. Of course, the ensuing fight scene at the top were fine. I like how everyone reacts to seeing Everam's true dragon form, and I always think that is absolutely funny. So far the book stays pretty decently at 3.5 to 4 stars. So yeah, I enjoyed. Let's move on to the final section of the book. I absolutely loved the entire treatment of Everon's womb section and watching Arcady learning to not fear his dragon form. It was so amazing character writing. It was a lot of fun, and it just, the romance in this book so far had been a bit mediocre, a bit but this was what really worked. We really got to see some true conflict, but people still reacting like properly. It was so good, and we really get to see them struggle with each other suddenly. Like, here the fighting and getting really angry at each other really makes sense, because Arcady learns that Everem, who she have fallen in love with, is not just a prince from another country, he's a prince dragon. And that she comes from a place that worships dragons, basically. So she's really struggling with what's going on here. Where Everem is also learning that all the so-called dreams and visions he's supposed to have had has been had by Arcady, and he feels she stole it from him in a way, even though she couldn't do anything. But like, it's just perfectly natural, and it's understandable, and it's so good. And what's even better is just we get into the head of Everem, where we do learn he's aware of what he's doing is wrong, but he just can't stop himself now out of anger, and it's relatable in so many ways, and it's frustrating, and I love it. And then there's the final battle, where Everem is trying to send his people back, giving it as the option that might have the potential to, in the future, to save both people. It's not a special fight by any means. I would almost say it's a little clumsy and difficult to follow at times. But Lamb makes it work, and we get the important character and plot points through. And that's really all we already established Lamb is not the greatest action scene writer thing, so just doing that works. And this ends with Eren writing letters to Arcady, which are the chapters in this book from his POV. And Arcady is trying to make it work at university, even though she didn't get the amount of money with it. And we also learn who Magnus really is, and I didn't want to learn that. It would have been so much better if we barely knew about him and only got hints at the end. At the end here, it just felt like a Disney villain laughing out the window. I get what she was going for, like the surprise factor, but it did not work for me. Again, we also got highlight of why I hate Larkin. Larkin cheated out everyone of the money. Like, they agreed upon money from the heist thing, and it's just absolutely hate it. But yeah, that was the book. This final section I got a little short, because it was a little short. So to conclude on this book, I think it's a strong 4 out of 5. It's a really fun book. It's interesting. It's unique. Lamb has some fun with prose. I love the characters. It's a romantasy book where the romance part is definitely still building up. Unlike other romantic books I've read, I haven't read that many, but often the first book ends with them being a relationship, and then in the second book we need to introduce something to make the relationship struggle. This one, they're not even through it all. Like, it's a slower pace. I like it a lot. I think it's a good book in many ways. Should you read this book? Do you like dragons? Do you like romantasy? Then yes. It's really... If you care a lot about your action scenes, this one might not be for you. But if you care a lot about the other moments, especially like the character interplay, this is a good book. It definitely, in my opinion, has places where it can improve. But I think it's a really well thought out book for the most part. Next time, we're going to be looking at Ranger's Apprentice, the Emperor of Nihon Ya. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. Goodbye.